Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 69, nice, of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on July 6th, 2021. I'm back. Well, I didn't leave, but I did do last week's episode early. But we're back on schedule now. Just had a wonderful holiday weekend. Hope you folks had a great time celebrating the independence of this wonderful country of ours. To those of you who don't live in the United States, that's okay. We still love all of you. We're just super excited about our holiday and what it stands for. Yeah. And speaking of telling the Queen of England to go pound sand, you guys get any cool guns lately? Man, I just bought a pistol. It hasn't come in yet, so I don't want to jinx it. Okay. I'll let you guys know when I get it in. It's gonna be cool. Did you guys get any new silencers lately? Man, I've got some cool ones in for testing and some cool R&D stuff that I can't show you, which is dumb. I hate that. But I actually haven't bought a silencer in a while. I'll let you know when I do, and when I do, I might check Silencer Shop. For example, because the J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop, the most efficient and intelligent way to purchase silencers. That segue wasn't nearly as smooth as I wanted it to be. I'm going to shoehorn it in, though. You can do this ad. As a silencer consumer, Silencer Shop is not only my dealer of choice, but my infrastructure of choice. They've done a lot of cool stuff, like create an easy system that minimizes the likelihood of errors in your paperwork, and they pioneered the use of the QR code on the actual Form 4 so that the ATF can scan the code instead of inputting all of your data themselves. There's a reason they've grown. They continue to innovate. Silencer Shop has a network of dealers nationwide where silencers are legal. They do. It's pretty cool. You can use their kiosk, do your fingerprints and photos electronically, and you cut down on the paperwork errors there. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. Some money back guarantee. It's great. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. It is. I know it's an ad, but frankly, God bless them. They're doing a good job. And secondly, this podcast is also sponsored by PEW Science, pushing the silencer industry forward one test at a time. Visit PEWScience.com for the suppression rating, the simplest and the most accurate hearing safe ratings for your suppressed small arms. Tell you what, they're based on true human sound perception. Human, that's you. That's right. You have ears? Well, you're in luck because I got a suppression rating for you. The suppression rating is in Section 5 of the Silencer Sound Standard. The standard walks you through gunshot noise. It's sort of like Wikipedia, but let's be honest. It's cooler because it's about silencer sound. There are 7 parts that are all on PEWScience.com for you to read. And if you haven't seen it, you're like, Jay, that's a little too many words for me right now, frankly. So, yeah, that's no problem. It's totally fine. You can skip directly to Section 5. The suppression rating there tells you what it is. If you want to know what the suppression rating is, it lets you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to sound at the muzzle and to the shooter's ear. It gives you a hearing safe dose limit for the particular platforms on which the silencers are tested. Okay, it's directly tied to human perception. If the rating's higher, it sounds better. If it's lower, it sounds louder. That's all there is to it. You're not going to find this information anywhere else in the world. The 6th section of the standard contains all the reviews. That's all the nuts and bolts, the detailed stuff. You can check them out on PEWScience.com, and you say, Jay, there's way too many graphs. I just want the bottom line to say, you know what? I got you, fam, no problem. You go to Section 7, PEW Science Rankings, okay? It's a simple database tool, a little table there. You can sort by suppression rating, all the different ammunition and host weapons and silencers we have there, and you sort it, you look at what you want to see, and then if you want to go back and look at the more details, you can drill down, and there's links in the table for every review, and you can look there to your heart's content. Go wild with that data. As always, if you are a manufacturer and you would like to use PEW Science for private testing and consulting services, there is a form on the website with which you can submit that inquiry. Your contact information and all test data will be held in strict confidence unless of course you choose not to hold it in strict confidence and you want to release it to the world. You say, Jay, will you write an article showcasing the performance data that you have created for our silencer? I say, yes, sir, ma'am, I will. And I've done that before. You've seen a couple of them. There's going to be more coming. Okay, you can see them on the website, pewscience.com. You can support this podcast, PEW Science, and our testing by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. And you can even, if you say, Jay, that's too rich for my blood, I say, it's no problem. I respect that. You can always give the podcast a good rating there. You subscribe or follow. I don't know how the iTunes does it now. Whatever you do to let them know that you want the podcast, I think you have to follow it. Or I don't have an iPhone, frankly. Okay, I'm not in that universe, but I know that they changed the iTunes system for podcasts like in the recent past. And so I think it's been since May. The analytics are weird because people are not able to find it through iTunes or something. It wasn't giving you your episodes. I don't know what's going on. All I know is whatever provider you use, subscribe or follow or whatever to get updates. That's the key here. And that'll help. And, give it a good rating there. Give it all the stars you can. And by spreading this information, what we do is we help normalize suppressed small arms. Have a gun in every kitchen, a silencer in every gun. Your food defense will be civilized. That's right. Normalizing. That's what we should do. I'm a big proponent. Okay, so now I think we got 3 topics for you today. Yeah, 3 on this episode. Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 646, the Surefire SOCOM762-RC2 on Subsonic 300 Blackout. Technical discussion this time, guys. Let's dig into the article and the silencer's performance. I know last time we kind of glossed over it because I released the article in such close proximity to the podcast episode, but this time we're going to be go a little bit more in depth for you. I'm going to spend a lot of time on that for you, or let's see how much time I can spend on it without losing my mind. Topic 2, carry gun fever, incorporating modern features into your carry gun, into your daily carry. Seems like a good idea in theory, probably, right? So what features do you like? I'll tell you about some of mine. This is like kind of continuation from the intro there where I talked about just a second ago how I just bought a new pistol. We'll talk about that. Topic 3, welcome to all the new PEW Science members. Thank you for your support. Folks are finding us from different parts of the country, frankly, and the internet and beyond. Beyond the internet? What's beyond the internet? I don't know. That's the question, isn't it? No, your grassroots support is making all of this possible. I do thank you. Okay, let's move into topic 1 at a time of 8 minutes and 28 seconds. Okay, yeah, so last time we talked about the Surefire, right? This is topic 1, Sound Signature Review 646, the Surefire SOCOM762-RC2 on Subsonic 300 Blackout. Okay, this is going to be a technical discussion. All right, so we're going to dig into the article I wrote for you folks and the silencer's performance. Yeah, I'm going to pull up the review here on the computer here. All right, I went to pewscience.com. Sound Signature Review 6.46. Okay, that's the 6th section of the Silencer Sound Standard, Article 46. Okay, subsection 46. I know some of you, when I started the Silencer Sound Standard, you say, what is with these numbers? I say, trust me. Okay, trust me. Chapter 6 is a big one. So we're right in Chapter 6. Okay. So I put out this data for you early. I wrote the review early because I had a lot going on last week, and rather than delay the data publication, I thought it prudent to push it out faster. So rather than delay it, I just did it earlier. Okay, so it's like sometimes the way I do stuff. We spoke about it last time in general terms. Let's dig into the review today and talk about the silencer, okay? Let me do some housekeeping items real quick. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm using this recording app to do this. I want to make sure I'm not losing it all. That would be a disaster. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna dig into this. We're gonna talk about the silencer. We're gonna talk about how its performance is in the subsonic flow regime, and how it compares to some other stuff on the market. Okay. Okay, so this is Sound Signature Review 646, Surefire SOCOM762-RC2 with a 3-prong flash hider. It's on the Q Mini Fix with Subsonic 300 blackout. Okay, so just so we are clear, that's an 8-inch 300 blackout bolt gun. So the only source of sound is coming from the muzzle of the silencer. The hole in the silencer end cap. Well, I mean, actually, that's technically not true, because there is actually sound coming from the actual weapon, like through the steel in the barrel and through the steel in the silencer. But the sound that actually matters is from the gas pressure being expelled from the end cap. Okay, so I mean, you can see let's not get ahead of ourselves, but you've seen the pressure histories in the article, in all the articles I published for you. So the point is, with this host weapon, there's no ejection port noise. All right, this is not a semi-auto weapon. Okay, so for those of you just tuning in, the reason these reviews have been using bolt action rifles is because we need to eliminate variables in order to characterize pure suppression. Okay, some people are still, every once in a while you'll see people that complain that it's bolt guns, and I'm just like, guys, I know it's bolt guns, but you need to be thinking about this data, and I'm telling you, it's important to understand this first. You're not, I know you're impatient. I want AR data. I'm like, I know you do, but trust me, if you didn't have this data first, you're going to have a bad time. Okay? There's a method to the madness here. Now, that is paramount to the situation. It's paramount. All right, in order for you to understand more about how the silencer is behaving and what it could possibly do to a more complicated weapon system, we look at things like mass flow rate and the back pressure parameter, omega, that PEW Science developed. Okay, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about sound right now. All right, but it's so important to control variables. So you saw this silencer before in Sound Signature Review 626. When we examine the performance on Supersonic 308. Okay, so that was with really high pressure, right? It's a 20-inch barrel, but still much higher pressure than an 8-inch barrel 300 blackout subsonic. Okay, that was 20 publications ago. Okay, 20. I mean, frankly, that's amazing. 20 articles ago, that's when you saw that. Today, we look at subsonic 300 blackout. So it's really low pressure, very low pressure. Completely different use case than what you saw with Supersonic 308. Completely different flow regimes, completely different pressure regimes, and silencer behavior. Okay, but it's the same silencer, the same mount. Okay, and that's the key. That's the key here. So the bottom line up front, we'll look at the numbers here. The bottom line up front, this silencer on this host weapon, 44.0 composite suppression rating on the platform. Okay, not the highest. Not the lowest. Okay, middle of the road, subsonic 300 blackout performance. And frankly, that suppression rating is kind of low for a full-size 30 caliber silencer. It really is. I mean, it's not quiet like a full-size 30 caliber silencer should be on this platform. It's not. This is not quiet. I mean, I know you say, oh, in the 40s, that's pretty good. It's like, well, it's pretty good if this was like a supersonic 308, but it's not. It's subsonic 300 blackout, bro. All right? At the ear, 43.4. At the muzzle, 32.9. Okay? That's the bottom line. Okay, so for a full-size silencer, it's just not able to hang in subsonic 300 blackout land like it should. Okay, we'll talk about why a little later. We'll talk about why. Let's take a look at the early time signature from the first shot. Excuse me. And I'm going slow. There's a lot to talk about. I'm going slow because I really want you to understand this. So if you scroll down, let's see. So the early time signature from the first shot, and I've been showing these to you folks for a reason. I know they can seem cumbersome. I do. I know that there are some people who will say this is too complicated and you don't need to know about it, or it doesn't matter, or whatever. That's fine. That they can say whatever they want to say. But when someone comes back and asks why the suppression rating is what it is, and why the silencer performs a certain way compared to another silencer, well, we'll have this data as a pedigree. Okay, we have this data to explain why the behavior is what it is. And frankly, I will say something topical that happened today. Some people had sent me, they DM'd me on the Instagram. They direct messaged me they shared this post with me. Someone online on Instagram or YouTube or something, they've filmed a bunch of firearms shooting different bullets from a bare muzzle, different rounds, and they filmed it with high-speed video. They used a Phantom high-speed camera, so they have hundreds of thousands of frames per second. Fine, great. I commented to some of them, oh wow, that's a really great illustration of precursor flow. And some people were like the Field Ethos guys posted it to their story, and I commented, oh, that's good. You can see the precursor flow, and they didn't even know what I'm talking about. Why don't they know? Well, because haven't been looking at these reviews. If you look, I'm serious, if you look at figure 1 in this review, I know that Phantom high-speed camera does really pretty pictures at, a couple 100,000 frames per second. Well, guess what? The data you see on PEWScience.com is at 1 million samples per second. 1 million. That's how fast it is. Okay, so it's way faster than that high-speed camera. Okay, and that's why that's why we can show what we're showing you. Okay, so it's showing the same thing. The plots you see on PEWScience.com are showing the same thing you're seeing in the high-speed camera. It's actually showing more because they're giving the magnitude of the pressure. People always ask me, oh, can you show the Schlieren imaging of the gunshot? Can you show a high-speed camera of the... I'm like, I could, but it wouldn't help you. It's pretty to look at for about 5 seconds, and then you're like, okay, cool, that was neat. Let's go on to the next thing. See, people love these videos, right? And it's like, cool, but unless it's tied to real phenomena, how's it going to help you? That guy posting that video, did he answer any questions about that video, about what is being shown? No, because he doesn't know what is being shown, what the video is showing. He doesn't. So it's like, I love it. I love video. I think it's great. I think it's something I'll probably add in the future. But until then, let's look at the data. Then it'll help you. Okay, it'll help you. Some of the stuff that you saw in that video, if you're into looking at videos like that, you'll see me talk about in the reviews. And this is actually quantifying it. So if you look at the early time signature in figure 1, you can see that the bullet end cap exit event is decoupled from the muzzle blast. Okay? And why is this important? It's important because this is a high flow silencer and the signature looks completely different from the signature generated from the OSS 300 blackout subsonic test data you saw in the previous review. Okay, remember, let me back up. This figure in this review 646, we're looking at subsonic 300 blackout. Okay, this is not supersonic, this is subsonic. What does that mean? Bullet is traveling less than the speed of sound in air. Okay, that's going to change the way the signature looks because other stuff is happening. And certain things are being delineated you wouldn't normally see when the projectile creates a shock. Okay. The OSS data you saw before this one in review 645, it looked different than this. Okay, it did. Both 300 blackout subsonic, same gun, same ammo, looks different. They're different silencers. In the OSS review, the precursor flow was forced out of the silencer early. Remember, what is precursor flow? Precursor flow is caused by the air in front of the bullet being compressed by the bullet's travel, and then it's forced out of the barrel before the bullet even leaves. The barrel is not a vacuum. The barrel has air in it before the bullet it pushes all the way out of it. Okay, this is and that air has to go somewhere. Well, that creates a signature. There's no free lunch here. Okay? Like, frankly, that's pretty important. And, like, you understanding precursor flow, it's not 100% required. But when you look at these waveforms, if you understand precursor flow, they give them all the more validity. And they show the differences in these silencers that are very low back pressure. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get. I know it's weird that I keep throwing these really technical terms at you, but if you learn this stuff, you will be impossible to fool. Like, the silencer companies will not be able to fool you anymore with their marketing, because you'll just be like, well, that's not true. It's easy. It's easy. When you understand the products you're using, it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. You're gonna excel as a consumer. It's awesome, dude. And that's why we're doing this. Okay, everyone's gonna learn it. No one will be able to be lied to, because we'll all know it's possible. Okay, that's the plan, Stan. All right. So in the OSS review, the precursor flow was forced out of the silencer early. Okay, super early. And because it can't trap gas, it was already flowing. Like, that precursor flow came out of the barrel, it pushed to the silencer. The silencer's like, I'll let that out, bro. Cool. And it does. It did. It pushed it out super early. And as soon as the bullet was pushed out, the muzzle blast followed in a huge coupled shockwave with the OSS. That's what happened. Now, with the Surefire silencer, in this figure one, in review 646, with a Surefire silencer, the precursor flow gets trapped. It's different. Okay? Then the bullet comes out, and then the precursor flow finally comes out, and then the muzzle blast comes out. Completely different sequence. Completely different sequence. It's a different silencer, different type of silencer. It's different. All right? It's completely different sequence of events, completely different. Every single silencer has a fingerprint. It has a fingerprint in high pressure and low pressure flow. All of them. All of them have fingerprints. So these two silencers have vastly different fingerprints in subsonic flow, okay? To the point that there are different couplings of waveform features. It's crazy, frankly. I hope you guys are starting to take note of this. This is why I'm telling you. Look, it's taken a while to show it to you folks. It's taken a while to present this in the way I'm presenting it, but it's real. You can tell silencers from one another just by looking at the muzzle waveform from the first shot. It's actually predictable now. We have enough data and methodology to predict what's going on. That's the crazy part. The shape of the bullet exit out of the Surefire is an N wave. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect N wave, but it's close. It's close. And the fact that it traps gas at all is pretty awesome, frankly. You're seeing a more traditional silencer with lower back pressure and how it behaves with low pressure. That's what this review is showing you. Okay, forget about it's a Surefire, sure, but I want you guys to stop thinking about brands and think more about technology, because that's how you're going to grow. Okay, when we talk about, like, when you start talking about cars and you talk about, oh, this car does this, and true car guys, they stop thinking about the car and they start thinking about, like, the technology in the car and what it's doing, and they seek out certain things. Like, if you're gonna build a kit car or something, you're looking for a certain engine. You don't care who made the engine. You care about what features does the engine have for you. Why do you think everyone uses like a crate engine, like an LS3 in their cars? Well, because it makes a lot of power, a lot of low-end torque, and it's small, so you can fit in a lot of crazy places. Is it cheap? No, but they don't care about that. They want the performance and the size footprint. Okay, much like silencers. Frankly, this brand loyalty is getting out of hand. You know, I'm not brand loyal to any silencer, and that's why a lot of silencer companies don't like me, because they think that, oh, I say something nice about one of their products, and then they expect me to say something nice about every single product. I'm like, bro, like, this isn't a game. Okay, this is Objective performance. Objective performance. Okay. So what you're seeing here, again, I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to say it a little differently. You're seeing a silencer with lower back pressure and how it behaves with low pressure. In the OSS silencer, in the previous review, the gas came out way too easily. Just way too easily. With the Surefire, it comes out with relatively high amplitude. True. But still traps some gas. Still traps some gas. It's different. That's why, remember earlier I was talking about the sequence of events are different. Now, that, my friends, is easy to say when you're Monday morning quarterbacking and you're like, oh, yeah, Jay, duh. I mean, everyone knows that low back pressure silencers that have some conventional baffles are still going to trap some gas and just be okay on subsonic, duh. Like, duh. Okay, but frankly, I think I'm the first person to ever quantify this ever, okay, in the history of silencer testing, and I think the statement that I'm making about high flow silencers and subsonic suppression is new. This is new. Okay, when I released the OSS data, that was new. And so is this Surefire data. This is new. Okay, now the silencer designers may have known that the silencer was louder with subsonic 300 blackout. I mean, because they shot the silencer. Fine. But are they understanding why? Why? Are they understanding what makes a good supersonic silencer and a good subsonic silencer? Some are. But I don't think a lot are. I don't. So let's look at some more numbers. Average peak sound pressure of the muzzle. 146.5 dB, 121.7 decibel millisecond impulse. Those numbers mean absolutely nothing to you. Cool. They shouldn't. They're not meaningful to you. They shouldn't. They're impossible to reference for you. That's why you have the suppression rating. Okay. Regarding the impulse, though, let's take a look at some of those plots. I want to show you the wave shape. That's the important part. Okay. Let's there's something cool to show you. Actually, heck, for that matter, let's take a look at the pressure curves too. Let's do that. Go to Figure 2B if you're following along at home. Go to 2B. Okay, you see in Figure 2B, this is sound pressure in pascals. Okay, that's the linear unit of sound pressure. The labels in the figure will show you dB, decibel. It's a logarithmic unit of pascals. Same data, different unit. We use decibels because it's a logarithmic scale. Okay, these are pressure. You see how I overlaid shot 2 and shot 3 on top of shot 1 in that figure? Figure 2B. You can see the bullet exit end wave. You can see that, right? It's crazy, right? You can see they're all on top of each other, right? Right? You see that? And then the muzzle blast after that, right? You see the muzzle blast is all the big peaks come later, a little bit in time. You see that? How they're after. It's cool, right? Okay. Now I want you to look at a little closer. You can click on. I'm going to click on the figure. You can click on the figure, it makes it bigger. If you're on your phone, you can tap it, whatever, download it and zoom in, whatever you need to do. Oh, excuse me. You can zoom in on these figures. You see how the shot 1 end wave, the black one, shot 1, it's the end wave I'm talking about. It's around 29.9 milliseconds on the horizontal axis. You see how the shot 1 end wave is a little higher than shot 2 and shot 3. You see that? There's like more going on there. You're like, oh, that's weird. Like the other ones are right on top of each other, and this one's like a little higher. It's a little higher than that peak. It's a little higher than the next peak, and the next peak. That's weird. You know why? That's because that wave is coupled with precursor flow. And the precursor flow during first round pop is a little higher. A little higher pressure. Wild, right? That's crazy. That's one of the reasons why we know that precursor flow and bullet exit event is coupled for this silencer. That's important. There's a lot to these waveforms, guys. There's a lot. I know sometimes they just look like squiggles. They do. I know they do. Okay, that's fine. But they do, in fact, have a lot of data inside them. And you can understand a lot about a silencer by looking at the waveforms. You're going to get better at it. I'm getting better at it, so you're going to get better at it. Okay, when we first started doing this, like, some of it was crazy. Now we're like, oh, we've seen patterns. We're all learning together. You're witnessing real-time, high-fidelity, cutting-edge research of small arms right now. You're witnessing it. This is public. I mean, you members of PEW Science, you're contributing to it. You're making this happen. It's yours. This all belongs to you guys. This data journey, this education for the industry, this is for everybody. Okay, so you see this, right? So that's a really cool phenomenon. I wanted you to see that part of the figure because that's real. Like some people are like, oh, well, there's just variation. I'm like, not in that part, homie. There shouldn't be in that part. I mean, look how everything else is laying on top of each other. This is real, dude. When you test right and you measure right, this is the type of stuff you can see. And there's just so much to it. All right, there's so much to it. You got to know what you're looking at, though. Okay. It's important. So I'm gonna close that. Now, all of that going on in early time, that's actually a lot of pressure coming out before the muzzle blast. It actually is. It's a lot of stuff going on. But we know that. And why is that? Well, it's due to the high flow rate of the silencer. High flow rate, meaning low back pressure. What is back pressure? Flow restriction. What is flow? It's mass flow. Okay, what is high flow rate? It means there's not a lot of flow restriction. Okay, so the Surefire SOCOM762-RC2 has low flow restriction. Okay, this is why the signature looks like this. Okay, it's just, you can't fake it. Even if you didn't have the omega metric, this is something you're going to see from this silencer with subsonic ammo. There are multiple indicators of flow rate other than the omega metric that I've created to simplify it all for you. Like this is like without even looking at the impulse waveforms, look at the pressure. Just look at the phenomena that we're watching. Look, how can you get precursor flow coming out of a silencer like that, decoupled? How can you get a huge spike in muzzle blast like that? Well, it has to be a high flow rate. You can't. That's what I'm talking about. It's so important. This is holistic. It's a holistic view of the data. The signature analysis that I do is a holistic view. All of these indicators are consistent. This is all the same silencer in this article. Like these are all, everything's congruent. There's no outlier. Everything you see in a sound signature review is congruent. It's all together. One package, one thing. You know, that's why it's important to show it all. There's no other way to convince you of the data efficacy other than what I'm doing. And if you're not convinced by this, you will never be. That's how deep this goes, and that's how hard I work on these reports for you. It's to prove the efficacy and for people to understand the phenomena. All right, I'm a little aggressive today on this. For one, I haven't eaten dinner yet. Two, he's hangry. Two, it's important. And frankly, because PEW Science is becoming more mainstream and a lot more people are knowing about it, now some big names are going to get defensive because they realize it matters more. And so now I got to make sure you understand so you can be prepared when they try to push their agendas. They will. They are. Yeah, you'll know it when you see it. Trust me. Some of you already see it. So yeah, all of that going on in early time, like I said, is a lot of stuff. It's a lot of pressure coming out before the muzzle blast due to the high flow rate. Okay, and that's pressure space. It's happening. You see it in pressure space. We've been talking about sound pressure. You're used to that. You're like, oh, Pascal's dB. I got it. I understand, Jay. Cool. Well, guess what? That behavior is also reflected in the impulse plots. What is impulse? Take the pressure curve, numerically integrated over time, you get impulse. It's not complicated. You just add up all the little area and then you plot it on a different plot, you get impulse. Okay. I know it sounds crazy. It's in the silencer sound standard. It's momentum transfer potential. If you think about impulse in air, okay, if you think about impulse in air in the free field as momentum transfer potential, it will help you. You know, you physicists listening to me, I know what I said is a little bit controversial. Just for the purposes of this discussion, consider it to be momentum transfer potential. If you have a question about that, tech@pewscience.com. It's shown. It's in the literature. It's fine. Trust me. Okay, so take a look at figure 3B, 3 Bravo. Okay, 3B. Check it out. Look at the early time hump and the plateau out of the silencer before stuff really takes off from muzzle blast. Like so, and you can actually help yourself. If you look at the pressure plot that we were just looking at in figure 2B, the time scale is the same. So like the time scale on the pressure plot and the time scale on the impulse plot, like you can match events. Okay, they're gonna. It's a key map. I keep time constant in every review. Okay, so time is constant. So I'm not trying to take you to another dimension or anything. The relative time is maintained through all plots. So like if you see an event in pressure space that's happening at 30 milliseconds and you go to the impulse plot at 30 milliseconds, that's the same time. You understand? I'm not sure. I thought that was understood, but I think maybe some of you didn't know that. So if you didn't, well, now you do. So there's an early time hump. Okay, and a plateau out of the silencer before the muzzle blast goes crazy time. And the muzzle blast goes crazy time like right at like 30.2, 30.3 milliseconds. And you see that his huge rise in the impulse plot, right, in figure 3B. And you see it in 2B with a huge peak dB from the muzzle blast. Shock. It's not really a shock. It's a pseudo shock, but it's not due to shockwave from bullet propagation. No, it's due to expanding gases meeting the atmosphere that's cold. So you see this weird hump. You rarely see a hump like that in early time impulse. It's wild, right? Okay, you rarely see it, but when have you? Have you seen it? Well, you actually have. You've seen something similar twice before. And where did you see it? Well, you saw it in the YHM Resonator K subsonic 300 blackout data in review 630. Then you saw it again in the OSS 300 blackout subsonic in review 645. Okay, in both of those, you see early time impulse accumulation. In the case of the Resonator K, the YHM Resonator K, that tiny thingy, you see it because of the super low back pressure. Super low back pressure because it's a small silencer, so the hump is fast. Hump's fast, get a huge rise. Cool. OSS, the back pressure is super low, so low that you get a gradual building of impulse so early that the initial early time impulse rise is almost linear. Almost linear in the OSS. Crazy. So weird. Super crazy. Check it out if you don't remember in the previous review. It's insane the way it looks. Okay, so there's that. So, I mean, it's not weird. It's okay. It's actually not weird when you understand how the OSS silencer works, but it is super crazy. Okay? Use your adjectives as you see fit. I'm just saying. To those of us who understand them, because I've been talking about it so much, you understand them now. You're like, oh, that's not weird because I know why. The pressure's coming out faster. It's an accumulated impulse, blah, blah, blah. But now you know why. So it's not that weird. It's crazy that we see it. PewSoft and the analysis that I provide you wows me. It impresses me. I impress myself with this stuff because it's so crazy. The fact that you can see this stuff and understand it always blows my mind. Every time, as an engineer, when I do stuff and it works, like whenever I design something as an engineer, and then it like works, or like I test something and I predict the response and my mathematical models match or anything like that, I'm always like, I cannot believe this works. And like, you know, we have this joke in some of my mentors and we have this joke. It's like, what, you don't believe in math? What, you don't believe in science or something? Because it's like sometimes you don't, because you're like, dude, there's no way that's gonna work, and it works, and you're like, oh well, of course it worked. But you always have that doubt. You're like, is this right? Is the math right? And he's like, it is. It's right. I wonder if that's what they felt like when they sent someone to the moon. When they were like, this could definitely kill everybody, or it could be awesome. And then it was awesome. Like, dude, we totally knew it was going to work. We never had a doubt. I love the Monday morning quarterbacking of engineers. We do it a lot. It's fine. So yeah, but okay. So the OSS silencer, you saw that weird rise time. You saw that weird rise in impulse accumulation in early time for the OSS. You're like, whoa, that's crazy, right? Now with the Surefire, you see completely different behavior. Okay, it's almost a combination of the YHM and the OSS in early time, right? It's gradual due to high flow with sudden change due to gas release from the baffles. Okay, so now you can see how each type of silencer design is similar and different. Okay, the fingerprints. What did I say earlier? Fingerprints. Okay? Okay, how are we doing on time? Am I insane right now? Oh, okay, 40 minutes. I'm hyped up because this data is so good. Oh, I'm so proud of it. It's so groundbreaking. It really is. It's just really great. So yeah, members see data at the ear. They do. If you're a PEW Science member, I encourage you to look at the review. You'll see why this silencer does have quite a bit of first round pop at the shooter's ear on this platform, okay? On this, and when I say this platform, I mean Subsonic 300 blackout through the mini fix, the 8-inch barrel. At the shooter's ear, what that means, what does that mean? What does it mean when I say has quite a bit of first round pop at the shooter's ear on this platform? It means if you're shooting the gun, you're going to hear the first round pop. You're going to know it. It's non-trivial to you, okay? Okay. But still, on average, the at-ear suppression rating isn't terrible. All things considered. Considering the flow rate of the silencer, it's really not as bad as you would think. I mean, for me, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I've started to put some comparison figures in these 300 blackout subsonic reviews I have. Check out figure 6 in this review. Okay, so review 646, scroll down on the page. You get to section 646.2, then the first figure shown is figure 6. There are a lot of silencers in there now. You see, this is getting wild, right? These comparisons. There's 8 silencers in that figure now, actually. You can see how the Surefire fits in. Notice how it's beating out the OSS and the YHM Resonator K. It's interesting, right? And that should be expected. It should be expected, frankly, okay? So what may be a little surprising, though, is how it is almost getting to the at-ear rating of the Energetic Armament Vox S, which is sort of a 300 blackout subsonic silencer, frankly. Look, I'm not sure if Energetic Armament realized that when they made it, but it's really made in such a way that subsonic 300 blackout would probably be what you would use it for most of the time. Like I wouldn't. I mean, I think I just use it for subsonic. I think that's probably what I would do. I would use, what I would do with the Vox if I had one, which I do. I don't use it, but if I had, what I would do with the Vox is I would just use it on a long barrel subsonic gun. I mean, that's probably, because it's not super heavy. I'd put it on if you had a long barrel subsonic gun, I'd just use it on that. Would be the bet. If you had a Vox and you didn't like it, I'd be like, okay, well, it's not the worst silencer ever made. So just put it on a long barrel 300 blackout. Like a 10-inch, 12-inch 300 blackout or something like that if you have one. I don't know. It's fine. It'll do in a pinch. It's not going to be the quietest thing, but it's definitely not the loudest. So, yeah. That'll do, pig, as they say. It's like a movie, right? Yeah. That'll do. But to really compare the Surefire silencer with some of these in the figure, I find it useful to look at both supersonic and subsonic data. And that's what I did for you in figure 7. I did. Yeah, I scroll down. Now, this figure 7's crazy. It's a little bit crazy, frankly. This is wild. You have 4 silencers, right? You have the Resonator K, OSS HXQD762, the Surefire SOCOM762-RC2, and the Vox S. Okay, so there's 4 silencers. So I put the 300 blackout subsonic data from the previous figure in this figure 2 as well. I took the subsonic data for these 4 silencers from figure 6. I duplicated it in figure 7. And I also put the supersonic 308 data and the omega metric data in it. So the back pressure, the omega metric's the back pressure metric. So now you have a ton of data in this figure in one place. This figure actually contains more silencer performance data than any other figure ever shown by anyone in the history of small arms ever in the world, forever, ever, anywhere. In your dreams, the most. because of what these 4 silencers, the amount of data for those 4 silencers compared to one another, you've never, ever been able to do this ever. Ever, 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 ever. True loudness in 2 flow regimes and back pressure for 4 silencers? Bro. Doesn't exist anywhere. Anywhere but PEW Science. Look how and this is crazy. Look at the, so I'm talking a big game. Right? Okay, let's talk about the conclusions from it. Look how unbelievably close the muzzle suppression ratings are on Supersonic 308 for the Surefire and the OSS. You see that? You're like, oh, they're pretty close. Yeah. 1 meter left of the muzzle. The 2 silencers are ultra similar in objective loudness to your ear. Ultra similar. Meaning the Surefire is quieter at the ear with Supersonic 308, but it's longer than the OSS. Okay, so the origin of pressure is further away, and also because of how it lets the sound out, it doesn't wrap around you at the same rate as the OSS does. It's a little different, but it's close. That's the point, right? Okay. Now, look at the subsonic comparison of the 2 silencers. Different, right? They're different. Both silencers have pretty low back pressure, though. You can see the omega metrics in the C. You see how I keep adding layers to this because they're all in the figure? I'm just adding layers. Okay? Both silencers have pretty low omega metrics. OSS is really low. The OSS is super low back pressure. And as a result, like we talked about before when we talked in the OSS review, it can't trap gas. So it's about as loud as it is on 308. Okay, but Subsonic 300 blackout. The Subsonic 300 blackout and the Supersonic 308 on the OSS silencer are almost the same. Almost the same. Why? Because of the flow rate. Because of the way the silencer works. Okay? But the Surefire, despite having a vented baffle stack, can still kind of trap gas, like we were talking about earlier, because it has normal baffles, kind of. I would say normal. They're not. Yeah, you know what they are not. They're not curved cones. Like all the copies of the Omega baffle. They're not that. But they are baffles, pseudo traditional baffles, and it can trap gas with those, and it gets it into the 30 zone at the muzzle on 300 blackout. What is it, like 30? Almost 33 at the muzzle. It's not bad for what it is. That's showing real balance between low back pressure and suppression, frankly. And that's something you all knew. You all knew about the Surefire after you saw the supersonic data and what the industry knew about it too. It is. It is what you knew. You knew it. Okay, now so what's really interesting about this is looking at the Vox performance on this chart, figure 7. Higher back pressure, okay, than the other 3 silencers. Better subsonic performance, which is reasonable. Obviously, why is that? Why is that reasonable? Why did I say that? Well, low pressure flow, subsonic flow, higher back pressure helps you be quieter. That's the name of the game. Okay, now, but to the shooter in subsonic, not a huge benefit over the Surefire. Wild, right? And with supersonic, the thing just struggles. It struggles. Okay, it pressurizes too early. It can't trap enough high pressure gas because there's no stagnation or relief from its primitive cone baffles. It's old, dude. I mean, it's new, and they say it's like a modern new silencer, but it's not. It's antiquated because it's like straight cones, no porting. So yeah, the Surefire gets to that point at the ear on this gun compared to the Vox because the Surefire is a little bit longer, so the pressure origin is a little bit further away. That's really what it's doing. But also, it's doing way better than the OSS is doing. So it's doing more than you might think it would be able to do. All right. So this figure tells a lot. It does. Dissect it. I want you to go to the figure. Look at it. Frankly, if someone was getting into silencer design, should I say this? Yeah. I think this is going to be controversial, but I think if someone was getting into silencer design and they only saw this figure, and then they looked up all those silencers and saw how they worked, they could learn more about the way silencers worked and what works and what doesn't than from any book anywhere, dude. That's how telling this figure is. I don't make these figures for fun. This isn't playtime. Okay, this is like, I make these figures to show you objective comparisons and give you tools. I am giving the industry tools to innovate further with technology. That's what this is for. This is the key. I'm giving you the keys. I'm not going to do it for you, but I am going to give you the tools to do it. Okay, I don't have time to make silencers. I don't have time. I have to do this plus other stuff. So like if I give you these tools, maybe you make the silencers for me. It'd be great. Okay. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot. Oh, and this is great. I almost forgot. Let's talk about how PEW is worthless, shall we? That's like my favorite thing to talk about. It's my jam. Look at figure 8 and figure 9 in this review. This is going to blow your minds if you're not aware of this phenomenon. Remember how I did the same thing with OSS? Same story with the Surefire, ladies and gentlemen. Same story. Figure 8A, during first round pop, in 308 supersonic, huge muzzle blast coupled with bullet exit. 150.2 dB, right? Okay, cool. With subsonic 300 blackout, the muzzle blast is delayed. And it's at 148.7 dB. Not that far away from the 150.2, right? Pretty close. But look at the impulse. Look at the impulse in figure 8B. Crazy difference in figure 8B, frankly. Okay, and if these two figures are not convincing you that the peak doesn't tell you anything unless you look at it in context with the whole waveform, okay, but wait, there's more. Scroll down, figure 9. Look at shot 2. This is crazy because now the oxygen's gone. So now any uncertainty should be clearly gone from your mind because now you're looking at shot 2 from each weapon platform for the same silencer, different ammo, and there's no oxygen. Well, there is, but there's very little oxygen. Now, this is wild. 146.5 dB for 308 supers versus 146.1 dB for 300 subs. Bro ham. That's really close. That's really close in peak sound pressure. But look at the impulse. Look at it. Over 3 times the impulse with 308 supers. Over 3 times the impulse with 308 supers. That's right. Duration matters. Duration matters, doesn't it? Sound pressure is a dynamic event in a gunshot. Dynamic. Come on. This is why peak dB is worthless. Next time, dude, next time anyone wants to argue with you about it, all you have to do is send them a link to this review. That's all you have to do. Have them look at figure 7, figure 8, and figure 9. Then they have all they need to know. Okay, you have to look at the full waveform. You have to. There's no other way to understand silencer sound. There is no other way. You got it? Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. It's impossible to be fooled if you look at the whole waveforms. They can't hide it. Well, they can hide their waveforms. Well, that's why you shouldn't look at data unless you see the waveforms. You see why now? You see why this is so important? When I started PEW Science, if I would have just shown right out of the gate this review without showing you figure 8 and 9, you'd be like, this guy's off his rocker. What does he mean? It's the same peak dB and it's different loudness. What does he mean? That's crazy. But now you see it and you're like, oh, well, I see that they're both around 146 dB, Jay, but I know that 308's louder. It's like, yeah, same. Same fam. Isn't that crazy? I mean, it is when you think about it that like no one showed you this before, and it took me like over a year to like publish enough data to convince you that it's real. Isn't that weird? It is kind of crazy. It's like monumental, the effort. Yeah, that's crazy. So all in all, how did the 762-RC2 do on Subsonic 300 blackout? Like the point of this review was to show if I put this 762-RC2 on a Subsonic 300 blackout, I don't care if you put it on a bolt gun, semi-auto, whatever. Some of you guys use the silencer for your SCAR. And you're like, Jay, I want to put this on a PDW, bro. I want to put it on my honey badger. Okay, put it on honey badger. All things considered, it didn't do super well. It didn't. But it did as good as it can for what it's made to do. And it's not just it's not made to do this. It's not made for subsonic 300 blackout. It's not made for low pressure rounds. That's not what the Surefire SOCOM762-RC2 is made for. It's just not for this. It's made to flow faster for high pressure applications and influence weapon function less when you need to. Not all weapons care, but some do. And the Surefire will probably be all right for some weapons that care. I mean, that's why people have used it on some of those weapons that care. I mean, some people love it for that, and it's fine for that. And now you see, well, what if you wanted to use on 300 blackout too? So you got a lot of information. You got a what if scenario, and you also got a case study in why the silencer does what it does. Because now you understand how the back pressure works, right? Because all these subsonic, you think the subsonic reviews are just to show you subsonic data? Nah, son. It's also to show you that the back pressure metric's right. I just blew your mind. It's all related, dude. Nothing in this is in a vacuum. This is all related. In fact, when I start doing flash testing, you think there's going to be a difference? You think that mass flow rate, you think that omega, you know what? I just thought of something. If you don't have any flash higher features on your end cap for your silencer, and you look at the omega metric, I bet you have a flash scale. No, if you normalize it for caliber. I shouldn't have said that, because now you're going to try to do it. Don't do it, but it can be done. If you normalize it with some certain variables, I bet you can predict flash just by looking at the sound signature. I bet you I could do it. I bet you I could. In fact, I bet you money. We should probably start a wager. I bet you. Ooh, you know what would be really cool? I'm thinking out loud, so forgive me if this is crazy. I bet you if I could come up with a preliminary flash metric, and based on sound data only on the data I have right now, but I would need at least one supersonic test for every silencer. I bet you I could come up with a flash metric that, if you didn't have any flash hider features on the end cap, would line up with flash behavior. I bet you I could. Because I tied to mass flow rate, and I bet you'd be right. But we'd have to exclude titanium because of the burning that has nothing to do with flow rate. Yeah. I think I could do that. Is that true? I don't know. I don't know if I can do it or not. But that's an idea. Like, eventually I could. And then if I tested flash and then I correlated, I know I could. Because I just find a correlation. There's always a way to find a correlation, because this is true behavior, right? It's the same thing. It's the same phenomenon. I'm just measuring pressure. What, you think flash is that far off? Nah, bro. I mean, it's not pressure, but it's definitely related to flow rate. Where does pressure come from? Well, combustion products leave the silencer. So, therefore, yeah, it's all related, bro. So we can figure it out. Oh man, that's actually, I just came up with a good idea I can do later. It might be easier than I thought. We might have a flat, man, we could come up with a flow parameter, call it something else, call it I'm telling you, man. Remember when I told you I needed to come up with units for the omega? Pascal to -1, but call it something else. Call it a flashy. Call it a flowy flashy. Triple F. I know, man. It's on the tip of my brain. We're going to figure it out. All right. So, okay, back to the Surefire. Sorry. I had a brain tangent. Like I said, the Surefire is just not going to be awesome on subsonic, but it'll work in a pinch. It will work in a pinch. And look, I've talked about it before. I think this bears repeating. But if you're a Surefire guy, and I know a lot of you are, make sure you are using a good mount for the silencers, okay? Don't use a war comp. Don't do it. I mean, unless you're shooting unsuppressed a lot and you want the muzzle control of the compensator, which is what a war comp is. There's holes in the top that, if it's timed right, that create thrust to counteract recoil force, recoil kinematics. That's what a compensator does. Unless you're shooting unsuppressed and you want to do that, and you like to re-zero your gun all the time, which is dumb, I would just use a 3-prong flashlight or a brake or something with the labyrinth seals, or even the closed tine. Anything's going to be better than something with ports like the Warcomp, dude. I don't see how Warcomp is going to help you when using the silencer unless you need it when you're shooting unsuppressed. When you use it with a silencer, it's going to leak. It's going to leak gas. It's going to get everything dirty faster. It's going to seize on the. The silencer is going to seize on the mount faster. You name it, man. It's not. It's just not a good suppressed only solution. The Warcomp. The Warcomp's not for that. So, dude, Surefire told me. Remember, I talked with Barry Duke, the guy who designed the silencer, and I was like, yeah, this doesn't work. He's like, yeah, probably not, because it's not made for that. I'm like, well. I knew nothing about Surefire silencers before I thought it blew up in my face, but it turns out it wasn't a silencer malfunction. It was a Warcomp. Apparently that's supposed to happen. Thanks for telling me. Now all you know, and I feel like I'm telling you all this new stuff, and people are like, oh my God, I can't believe that. I'm like, you guys didn't know that? Like, no one bought a Surefire silencer, used a Warcomp, and thought it was weird that like your face was getting impacted by particulate on a rifle? Why didn't you guys notice that? Like, how did it take me, Jay, who like never had experience with Surefire silencers, one test to realize something was wrong? And everyone was like, oh yeah, well, and then everyone looks at all the YouTube videos that are ever made. They start dissecting them, like Grantham shooting it, and they're like, oh my God, look at the gas leaking out of the mount. I'm like, yeah, you guys didn't know that already? Why didn't you tell me? It's like no one pays attention to what actually matters. It's like everyone's like, oh, I want a Surefire because the military uses it. I'm like, really? Do you? I'm losing my mind. I'm taking crazy pills. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Oh my God. Am I just like crazy? Like why didn't someone tell me that the Warcomp sucked so bad? Frankly, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in all of you. And you know what? And if I find out another mount sucks, like the Warcomp, it's going to be your ass. Because you're supposed to tell me. I'm sitting here giving you all this data. Look, if you guys have a really bad mount problem, tech@pewscience.com. Tell me. I'm like so sick of like being the guinea pig here. Like, I seriously thought I was going to die when I shot the 762-RC2 with the Warcomp last year on the 308. I thought, like, I turned to the person helping me with testing, and I was like, okay, I'm still alive. I can see you. They're like, what was that? I was like, I don't know. Did the gun blow up? I'm laughing because it was like so absurd. It was absurd. Frankly, like okay. And I know this sounds hyperbolic, but it's not. Like, if I designed that thing and I tested it and it did that, like, I wouldn't sell that to people. Or at least I put a warning on it, be like, warning, don't use it with a silencer unless you absolutely have to. And, that's probably what they tell people, but they didn't tell me. Okay. So there's that. Okay, now that I've totally like dogged that, and I think I've definitely affected Warcomp sales. Sorry, Surefire. Now, these are good looking silencers. They are. I have to say, I don't know what it is. And do I have it in front of me? Oh no, you know what? Because I just took a picture of it on the minifix that I'm going to post with this. So it's on the gun somewhere in my room here. I have too many guns. I don't know what the heck it went. It's somewhere. It's probably under another gun. It's like you lift up a piece of paper, there's a gun. You're like, oh, it's a gun. They're pretty, these silencers. I like the way they feel in my hand. They're smooth. Nice deep black. I feel like they're painted well. Surefire has high quality. They have good manufacturing. Good quality control, I think. Just they're big. They're a big company, and I think they have to fulfill a lot of military contracts, and they actually do it right. They actually have a really low failure rate. They have a good quality control procedure. I think a lot of companies could probably learn. I think a lot of companies that manufacture a large amount of products like at once in batches could learn a lot from Surefire. I think they have taken steps to do a good job with that. This is independent of the performance of the product. I'm just talking about making the product. Now, they're good-looking silencers. They have a relatively high mass flow rate, And they're also fairly durable. Okay, in that you don't really have to worry about breaking them. You're probably not going to break this silencer. I mean, you can break anything, but these RC2s, man, they're going to hold up. Now, if you're into 300 blackout, like we talked about in this review, if you're into 300 blackout, Subsonic, you probably need to look at the 300 SPS. If you're a Surefire fan, and you want a Surefire, you want a Surefire, but you just don't want the RC2 because of this data, because you want 300 blackout, take a look at the 300 SPS. It's also a full-size 30 caliber silencer like the RC2. It has much different internals. It's designed for 300 blackout. It's designed for lower pressure. It's going to perform much better on subsonic 300 blackout because of that, most likely. I've tested the 300 SPS, but it was on supersonic 308, and it's something I need to test again because guess what? It was war comp time with a 300 SPS on the 308 because that's the mount I had in the gun. I literally tested it back to back with the RC2 because I was like, okay, I just shot this one. Now let me put the 300 SPS on it. Same thing. The gun felt like it blew up. It felt like it blew up. The blast pressure was in my face. I'm telling you, the war comp is a bad time. 0 out of 10. Do not recommend the war comp mount. 0 out of 10. Sorry. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope that full characterization of the silencers are helping you. I feel like when you see the performance with high pressure and low pressure, you get a good idea of how the silencer behaves. When you look at it with the Omega Metric 2, you see how that influences the low pressure performance. And then you'll also see how that can influence semi-auto performance on some weapons. We're going to get to that point and you're going to be like, oh, that makes sense. And I'll be like, I know. You're going to be like, and if someone says something today, says something about on the internet, they're like, man, the gas guns, it's all about low back pressure. I'm like, do you understand that if you don't suppress the waveform coming out of the muzzle, it's going to wrap around no matter what. It's going to hit your face. On all these bolt gun reviews, how do you think we get a suppression rating at the ear? Do you think it's because we're hearing the blast pressure from afar because it's away from our ear? No. It's because the blast pressure wraps around your body and it has to travel further. Your ears aren't hearing something far away. Your ears are hearing everything they're always hearing. Your ears hear what impacts your eardrum. What impacts your eardrum? Overpressure. Where's the overpressure come from? The silencer end cap. How does it get there? It travels through the air. You're not here. I feel like people misunderstand how sound works. They think like, oh, I just heard something in the distance. It's far away. It's like, yeah, the source was far away, but the sound had to get to you. You hear the sound. You don't hear the far away. It's not like it's just like light. Like when you see something, when you look at something, the thing is far away, but what are you seeing? Well, you're seeing the light that's reflecting off of it. Well, when you see something, you're seeing it in real time. Well, why is that? Well, it's because you're seeing it at the speed of light. Well, when do you hear something? Well, you hear it as the sound gets to you. Well, how long does it take the sound to get to you? Well, at the speed of sound and air. Okay. So when people go online and they're like, well, the guns are gonna sound way quieter with a lower back pressure silencer. It's like, well, they might, or they might sound super loud because the silencer is really loud at the muzzle. And newsflash, sound travels in every direction. So I want you guys to understand that in context. So when we start to test gas guns and release the data to you, you're gonna see like the performance is going to be a function of back pressure, but it's also going to be a function of sound suppression. And who has done the best job? Well, we're going to have to figure that out. I think you're going to be surprised. Oh, yeah. Another thing I wanted to say, it's important to note that the Omega metric, the PEW Science Omega metric, it's a measure of a silencer's flow rate, not weapon behavior. Okay? All weapons are different. So it's not possible to tell you how one silencer will influence every weapon, but it is possible to tell you how one weapon will behave with silencers in a certain omega zone. You understand the difference? It's a nuance. Okay, so if you know how your gun works with a silencer in like a certain omega zone, you can probably bet that it will work in a similar way to another silencer with an omega metric that's close. Okay, and that's the best we can do for now. And if you have a gun that is working fine with like a CGS Hyperion, and CGS Hyperion has a high omega metric, well, that gun might just work with any silencer. Or maybe it just needs high back pressure. Okay? Don't get too hung up on it. Just you need to know what's going on with it. But if you're looking for something with super low back pressure, like on purpose, like you have a gun that is notorious for overfunction, the omega metric is a good predictor. Okay, it is. So that's something you can use. Okay, I hope this helps. It's a lot of data. I talked a lot about the Surefire. In fact, what's the time? What are we at? Oh yeah, we're like an hour and 10 minutes in. So I spent a lot of time on the topic, but about an hour. I spent about an hour on this. If you have any questions, reach out. Please email me at tech@pewscience.com and we'll talk about it. Okay. I hope I did that justice. You guys are probably tired of me talking about the Surefire at this point, but it's a popular silencer. Okay, let's go into topic 2. Oh, how long do I? Let's see. Okay, we won't spend that long. Topic 2 at a time. Oh, where's my thingy? Oh, yeah, topic 2 at a time of 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 4 seconds. Okay. Boy, howdy. I just got a new carry gun. So this is topic 2, carry gun fever. That's right. So incorporating modern features into your daily carry. Like I thought this was going to be a good idea, and I wanted to talk to you folks about stuff you like. So man, I just got this new carry gun, man. Ooh, I haven't got it yet. I bought it on an impulse. Sometimes I buy things on impulse. I might hate it. I'm not sure yet. I've never held one of these guns that I bought. It could suck, and I'm not even going to tell you what it is yet. It had the features I want. I ordered it through an industry connection, so I got a discount on it. It wasn't cheap, but I did get a discount. I'll let you know whether it sucks or not. I will. I paid for it. I hope it doesn't suck. Excuse me. Here's a hint. I've already bought an optic for it. That's right. I'm going new school. Old Jay's getting modern with his carry gun. Might carry it. Might carry this gun. That's why I bought it. Might carry a gun with an optic. Might do it. I took this class once, right? I took this shooting class from these guys. They're pretty cool guys. They're like former diplomatic security dudes. They're good shooters. We were shooting from a car. And then we opened the car. We were shooting from behind the car door. And then we went behind the car. We were shooting from behind the car, and then we were shooting from behind other cover they had in this little range they had, And then we did some other stuff too. Like we were holding weights above our head and running and then shooting to make your breath hard, make you lose your breath, and then you have to shoot again. It was cool. Elevate your heart rate, make it harder. So we were doing all that stuff, right? And this dude in this class with me, he was clearly way above my pay grade when it comes to shooting. This dude was I think this dude was a bodyguard, or this dude was clearly a professional that uses his gun to protect other people. A lot, he does stuff. I don't know what he was. This dude, he's a big dude, shot really well. So he has his gun, right? And his pistol. I forgot the pistol. It might have been Glock. He had a Trigicon RMR. It's one of those red dot sights on the slide of this gun there. And so one of the drills we were doing was we had these the instructor was he'd take our mags with our ammo and he put random dummy rounds in the mags. So when you're shooting the course, you're oh crap, I have a malfunction. You have to clear it. You have to clear the malfunction. You had a dud round or something. It was part of the training, right? So he was doing that. And so the big dude with the RMR and his Glock, he shot, it was a click, he went to rack the slide, and he used, I'd never seen anything like this. Maybe just because I don't watch YouTube. I'm not into the tactical stuff like that. Like since Trijicon RMRs have become popular because I'm old. I see this guy. He takes the pistol and he like racks the slide using the RMR. Like I don't know what he's doing with his other hand. I can't. It's been a bit. I can't remember everything he did, but for some reason the way he was like he was either on the ground or he was doing something crazy. Like he was shooting from the ground or like on his side, and he takes this gun and I think he racked the slide using the RMR like on his belt or like on his leg. I remember seeing him like do it. Like I was just like on the sidelines watching this dude, and like in my head I was like, what in the actual F is this guy doing? I was like, that can't be what we're supposed to do. Like, is that what we're supposed to do? I was thinking about it. And I was like, is that real? I was like, is he going to shoot his leg? Like, I couldn't figure it. I was like, is that okay? Like, I mean, it might be. Like, it seemed to work for him. But he was definitely doing it. And, yeah, I don't know. I just thought about that like when I bought an RMR because I was like, oh, I'm going to buy one of those too. Seemed like he liked it. Worked for him. It was definitely durable enough for him to use it to rack a slide. And he seemed to hit everything he was shooting at after that point. So I was like, well, I'd like to cut a your jib, sir. I'm going to go ahead and buy me an RMR. So I did. So it seemed reasonable. I figure if I don't like the gun, I'll just put the RMR on a different gun. What could go wrong? Yeah. I see people buying some of those little Chinese optics, saying they're just as good as the Trijicon one. To that I say, maybe, but also maybe not. I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and say no. For a carry gun on that, I'm going to say no to the Chinese companies. I don't... You guys know we live in America, and we have, like, American companies here, right? Like, why don't you just support the American companies? What features do you guys like on carry guns? I did want to ask you this. Maybe you can send me some feedback. I was going to tell you a little bit about what I like on my carry guns. The guns that I have... Well, okay. So these are features that I have grown to want or like, and I carry a gun every day. And so, like, for me, like, the features I like I want a threaded barrel, or an easy ability to add a factory threaded barrel. Why do I want a threaded barrel? Well, because I want to put a silencer on it when I want to. Why is that? Well, if it's just a carry gun, well, it's because I'm going to be practicing with this gun a lot, because it's my carry gun, and that means I'm going to be familiar with it, and I want an option to put a silencer on it, because what's going to happen if I want to use a silencer on a gun? Well, I'm going to be using the gun that I'm really comfortable with, and guess what? If it has a threaded barrel, that makes me use a silencer. And why do I say factory threaded barrel? Well, because factory threaded barrels are best barrels. And if you can have a factory barrel threaded, extended and threaded, by all means do that. I don't believe in aftermarket barrels unless the manufacturer endorses them. And how many manufacturers do you see endorsing aftermarket threaded barrels? You don't, because they suck usually. Number two, I like sights that can clear a silencer, or an easy way to install some that makes sense. Like, so this is going to cover all the HK and the SIG stuff, for example, because it's really easy to get silencer hide sights for those guns. And then my current Glock 19 that I carry, I do carry a Glock 19. I have the K&S sights that flip up. It's such a novelty, but I think Todd and Mike from Dead Air are on the patent. Actually, I think they designed them. K&S Precision out of Texas makes them. Remember, everything that's Dead Air designs, they don't make. So even their sights, they don't make them. It's another company. So yeah, they're Dead Air branded, but they're K&S switch sights. I got them for my birthday a couple years ago, so I put them on they like flip up when you need them on the guns. That are pretty cool. Number three, I like corrosion resistance. I do. I carried an HKP7 for a long time, and it kept rusting. So there's that. Like, plastic guns solve that issue so easily. Like, or aluminum frames. Aluminum frames solve that with a really good coated steel slide. Like a SIG Nitron coating is awesome. My SIG 226. It can't rust. Can't. It doesn't know what rust means. It's a pretty big gun, but it's not a very great carry gun, but it's awesome. But it's actually it's not the original stamped steel slide. It's the milled stainless slide with nitron. So yeah. Number four, I like the ability to use normal mags. and also extendo crazy mags, because that's neat. So like if I get a carry gun, I want to be able to, like, I don't want a carry gun that's like, oh, here's my little baby mag and you have to use this baby mag. I want a gun that I can like be like, oh yeah, here's my normal mag it comes with, and then here's my crazy mag for when I gotta do crazy mag stuff, because that's neat. And then lastly, those optic plates. I tell you what, it's on my list now. I mean, I want to use that technology. I have this FNX 45 tactical. I don't know if you guys know what that gun is, but it's like really ridiculous. It's really big, and I needed to get a 45, so I bought one like several years ago, and it came with a coupon for like a Vortex Venom red dot. I'm not really a huge fan of that Vortex red dot, but what I am a fan of is how easy it is to shoot the gun with it. And I was like plinking with a silencer. I had my like rugged Obsidian 45 on the FNX 45 tactical, and I was plinking stuff with it with the red dot, and I was like, this is the easiest. I couldn't believe how easy it was. I was like, this is cheating. This is like a video game. It was so easy. I was like, this is amazing. So after that, I was like, well, the next like pistols I get are going to have optic plates. And you know what? The P30L I have doesn't have an optic plate. And I don't want to mill the slide, man. I don't feel like I should have to do that. It's messed up. HK needs to figure that out with their hammerfire guns. They're offering the optic plates, I think, on their striker fire guns, but HK and striker fire, just unless it's a P7, it just doesn't sit right with me. And frankly, holding the VP9s, I don't know about them. We'll see. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, on the pistol I bought, it has an optic plate. We'll see how I like that one. So yeah, that's why I bought the pistol I bought. It had all these features. So we're gonna see. Now, I did want to get away from my Glock. I'm done pretending that the Glock grip angle is okay, dude. I'm done. I carried one for a long time. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not getting rid of the Glock. I'm not. I'm still going to use it. It's not going to be my primary carry anymore. I'm done, dude. With the weird trigger and the stupid grip angle, I'm done. I can't understand. Like everyone's like, yeah, the Glock's awesome. Like, it's not. It's not good at all. I don't know why they have the grip angle like that. It doesn't make any sense to me. I might just, what I might do with the Glock 19? I might just make it a dedicated PEW Science test host. It has a factory Glock threaded barrel. So why not? It seems reasonable. Everyone has one. It sucks for silencers. So why not? I'll give you the loud answer with the Glock 19. It's a popular host. So, I might do a survey on an Instagram story to ask you guys what you like in carry guns. I might, because I'm curious. Okay, we don't always have to talk about silencers. Although I'm sure it'll get back to that when we start talking about how some carry guns suck suppressed. It'll get back to that, okay. So yeah, I just wanted to hit that real quick. I know that's not like a really long topic, and it's kind of out of left field, but I bought a gun, and I kind of want to know what you guys value in a carry gun. And maybe maybe I get this gun and it sucks, and I don't and I tell you it sucks, and I don't like it anymore. I'll tell you my opinion, or maybe I love it and I talk about it every day. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, let's move into topic 3 at a time of 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 55 seconds. Okay, topic 3. Welcome to all the new PEW Science members. Folks are finding us from different parts of the country, the internet and beyond. The grassroots support is making all this all possible. I'm astounded by it. It's great. I have some members in the Netherlands, some other European countries. Some are actually working for foreign militaries. When it first happened, I was like, whoa. I was kind of like freaked out a little bit. But then, they're working for the research arms of those countries. Our own ARL here in the United States, Army Research Lab, I know those guys. I've known them for over a decade. Longer than that. They know what I'm doing with this stuff, and they have too much red tape to do it. They do. At least foreign militaries are getting something out of it. Talk about a backward way of getting stuff done, man. I'm just publishing data for the entire world to see, and it's because I got tired of no good, meaningful data being available, and now, bam, the world's using it. It's funny how that works. When you give people stuff, they actually use it. So it's cool. Who would have thought that it's neat. So thank you for all you members that chip in a little every month. I really appreciate it. I know the contribution is small, so some of you might think, oh, it's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal. It's a huge deal that you do. It does help, and I can't thank you enough. I hope you enjoy the data that's made possible by your generosity. I do, and I hope that you enjoy the podcast. The podcast is made possible because of your generosity too. So I really thank you for that. Okay, and thank you to all you listening, even if you don't contribute. That's really great. I appreciate you listening and hope you find this entertaining and informative. So there's more to come. Okay, stay safe out there, and I will talk to you folks again soon. All right.